What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking in on Astrox Imperium. This is one of those games that is very, very hard for me to do kind of like an unbiased episode because, I have a lot of faith in this title. This is one of those games that I'm looking forward to in 1.0 the most, but the game released on Steam in early access in about 2019, and since then, the developer has been working like a madman. He's put out 133 updates. He tends to update the game every 20 to 45 days like clockwork, and these are not small updates. These are large updates that add entire mechanics to the game, or kind of retrofit and rebuild old mechanics that he's no longer satisfied with more depth. And so anyways, given that drive that the developer has shown over the last couple of years, this is one of those games that I sort of passively keep my eye on, because I very, very much like sandbox space games like X3. If you've never seen Astrox Imperium before, the best way that I know how to describe it is that it exists probably somewhere in the space in between EVE Online and X3. Except that the ultimate goal of this game was to create EVE Offline, basically. And so a lot of things about this game, if you're an old bitter vet and you're just done with CCP and you can't play EVE anymore, but you still kind of want that experience where you can go out and kind of reforge the galaxy in your image, this game is working towards that goal. And really any activity you can think of kind of exists in this game, at least all the tropey ones. There's combat, there's bounty hunting, there's assassinations, there's mining, there's industrial refining, there's crafting, there's station building for industry and stuff like that. There's salvaging battlefields, there's wormholes for you to explore, there's nasty corners of the lawless galaxy for you to fly to. There is a lot of stuff to do in this game. So anyways, we're going to spend about 35 minutes with the game today, and I'm going to show you some of the basic aspects of the game so that you can decide whether or not this is a game you wanted to put on your wish list or otherwise pass on. I'll have a link for you down below that goes straight to the early access. But aside from that, you'll also find links down there to my Twitch stream and my Discord. Pretty solid chance that when I release this video, I may stream the game within about a day or two, just to show you the mechanics a little bit deeper, because I don't think that this is the kind of game where 35 minutes is really going to do it justice. I also expect that this video is going to be fairly edited, there's going to be a lot of blank periods because there's a lot of transit and flying around and looking for missions and things that you want to do and trading and things of that nature. So just keep that in mind as we're going on through, is that really this is going to be kind of a toe in the pool for people that are uninitiated, but I am very, very pleased. I played the game last year, and it was definitely in rough shape, but it was getting together. I'm happy and pleased to report that a year later and 20 patches later, the game definitely feels more put together. There's a lot of stuff to do. I've put about 15, 20 hours into the game, and I haven't really felt bored or like I was gassing out. And so anyways, I played about 15 hours prior to the recording of this video, and I've got myself a cool little gunship right here. The game does have different ship classes. There's everything from escorts to frigates to cruisers to battle cruisers and things of that nature. I think the largest class of ship in the game right now is the Dreadnought class, but I haven't got to see one of those yet. The biggest ship that I've seen so far has been a battle cruiser or a destroyer. But there are lots and lots of different ship types, and the really cool thing about the game is that the ship types, you're not really limited by size too much. There are high-tier escort ships that are every bit able to kind of go pound for pound with a destroyer, just because they are highly specialized, they're very small, they're very hard to hit, and yet they still have a lot of gun mounts and things. And that's kind of what we're piloting right now. This is kind of a middle to high-tier escort craft that is designed for battle, and it's designed to punch outside of its league. And this thing can go toe-to-toe with pretty much everything I've put it up against so far, but you do have to level up a little bit to get there. So let me kind of give you the rough tour. This game folds up my UI every single time that I play. And so anyways, let me unfold the UI and we'll kind of talk about what we've got going on inside the world of Astrox Imperium. So right now my character is a combat pilot, and I rent my services out as a mercenary, and then I am also a salvager, although I'm not very good at salvaging because you need to have a really large cargo hold to really make really good money salvaging, but the salvage pays for my ammo, which is incredibly expensive. And so anyways, this is a gunship. It's specialized in using rotary cannons, actually. There are a number of different weapon types in the game. There's guns, rotary cannons, there are artillery cannons, there's lasers, there's beams, there's missiles, there's drones. There's all kinds of things you can use to disassemble your enemies, ECMs and electronic warfare, stuff like that. I'm getting peed on by robots right now for some reason. It's part of the docking fee. You pay your money, you get peed on by robots. It's what people in the future are into. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the vitals for my ship. We've got shields, we've got our hull, we've got our energy, which is used for energy weapons and kind of supplementary things. And then underneath that, we've got our life support. This game kind of conceptualizes the idea of life support. When you're in like a civilized system, it's just assumed that you're able to like buy food and refill your air tanks and things of that nature while you're flying around. But some areas don't have that support, and so while you're there, this kind of represents your supply, like how much air, how much food, how much water, how full your waste systems are, and if it gets down to zero, you actually, like, die, I think. I don't know. I've never let it run out. I've never been too curious. So there are things to do. We don't really need to talk about them right now. I'll kind of give you the grand tour. Before I started out recording this episode, I went ahead and I got a couple of missions for us to do. And so I figure we'll probably do those now. I don't know where my, there we go, active missions HUD. So there's a guy that I've got to shake down for a payment. Apparently he owes somebody money and I've got to shake him down. And then we've also got a mission to kill 2 dangerous raiders in the Gate of Alfaris. So I'll probably go ahead and do that. We can access the map by pressing the M key, and everything in this game is pretty much automated. So if I find the Gate of Alfaris, which is actually like adjacent to the system we're in right now, Void Starcross, and I double click on it, we'll actually like autopilot our way on over there. Inside the UI, there's a bunch of stuff you kind of need to know about. So let me go ahead and I'm going to full stop the ship real fast so that we can talk about that. Otherwise, you guys are going to kind of be in the dark while I'm playing the game. So we've got our inventory over here. We've got our system information. We are in Void Starcross, and it has a security rating of 10. The lower this number is, the more likely it is that raiders or pirates are going to show up and try to, like, rob everybody. And so you want to keep an eye on that. It also kind of, like, vaguely alludes to how long it's going to take law enforcement to respond if you do get attacked. And then, of course, if you're below a certain security rating, the cops aren't coming at all. You've just got to, like, fight for your life and get your way on out. I already talked about my vitals. This is my mission reading right here. There are a lot of supplementary buttons on in here, but I feel like we're going to use up a lot of time if I sit around talking about that the entire time. And so anyways, down here you've got like your character sheet. You've got like your various menus for life support and your journal and kind of your trade tracking and everything else in this area. We've got our weapons at the bottom of the screen. I've got 4 rotary cannons and a salvager. We've also got a number of contextual buttons down here we can use to force the turrets to kind of like retarget other things. We can use this stuff down here to command our mercenaries because you do get wingmen in this game. At a certain point, you can toggle off your safety so that you can fire on friendly targets and things of that nature. Basically a whole bunch of functions down here that you're going to want to familiarize yourself with. The navigation panel over here basically controls your autopilot. This is going to control how you orbit your enemies and how you autopilot around them if you choose to use the autopilot while you're in combat. You can also manually craft, or you can also manually fly your craft with WASD, using that to kind of, you know, just move the ship around. And if you hold down Alt, it'll allow you to kind of like control the pitch of the ship and the roll of the ship, in case you were wondering. And you should be manually piloting when you're in combat. I tend to like 50-50, half autopilot, half manual pilot when I'm fighting. Just depends on what the situation needs. If it's not going to be like a huge challenge, then I let the autopilot take over and I just kind of dock everything to death. But if it seems like a fight that's actually going to challenge me a little bit, I will manual pilot in between the autopiloting in order to like dodge missiles and lasers and things of that nature, because in this game, things actually have to collide with you in order for them to count. Like, the game uses basically the same combat system as EVE Online, where you've got weapons on cooldowns that fire at things that you have locked on. But it's a little bit different in that, like, EVE Online, you have to pay attention to, like, your trajectory and your orbit, and you're always trying to, like, maximize effectively your perpendicularity to the enemy and how your vector is moving in order to lower their hit chance. In this game, you actually just flatly dodge. It doesn't seem to be any, like, hit chance. Like, the way that the enemy is moving in respect to your character dictates how on or off the shot is, but if they wildly divert and get hit by one of those shots, like, they will take the damage. Now, there's going to be enemies around here, so we're going to go into tactical mode. There he is right there. Anything flagged with yellow in the center is our quest target, and it looks like we've got ourselves a couple of frigates that we got to deal with. So this is going to get a little bit hairier. The good news is I've got very, very rare weapons, so we should be able to flatten these guys almost instantly. It looks like he's already under attack by somebody. Yeah, it looks like there's some kind of like miner or somebody fighting with him down there. The game does feel organic. When threats like pop into the system, the miners will try to fight back and the police will respond, and if there's anybody that's like a mercenary or armed in the area, they may jump in on the fight. You never quite know how it's gonna go. You can hold down the shift key to put on your afterburner, which will allow you to close the gap a little bit faster. Let's go ahead and open up on this guy real quick. He should get one-shotted. I've got like really, really good weapons. I lucked out and found super crazy machine guns at just like a ridiculous price, and ever since then I've been like crazy overpowered. I think the miners are gonna kill this guy before I get down here, but since I'm on the payroll right now for protecting the system, I'm gonna give it the old college try and kind of fly down in this area. There we go. Just vaporize him real quick too. We're gonna go collect the loot. The quest is now done. That was it. I'm kind of over-prepared for this episode. My ship is actually kind of cool. So we've got a kinetic G-Series 20mm gun right there, and we've got an ore harvester. I'm going to go ahead and detonate the wreck, and then as you can see, there's a bunch of, well, maybe you can or can't see. I have a hard time seeing the debris in this game a lot of the time, but there's a whole bunch of debris over here, and you can see it right there. If we click on that, and then we use our salvager on it, we will be able to salvage all these little ship chunks, and then we can sell them, or we can refine them to turn them into like nuts and bolts and circuit boards and like oil and like lubricant canisters and stuff like that that can be used for large-scale manufacturing if you have your own base set up or your own stations, or if you just have the blueprints and you want to pay somebody to rent their station in order to craft stuff, you can do that as well. This game has a very vibrant crafting system. As you can see, salvaging that one ship has basically almost filled up my entire hold, and we honestly didn't pick up that many goodies while we were out here. Like, we got some stuff, but, you know, not a whole lot. Probably enough to pay for the ammo that I expended blasting those guys into minutia. Let's go ahead and check this ship over here. We'll see if he's got anything good on him, and then we will move along our merry way if it becomes necessary. All right, so ship loot over here. It looks like we got 1,400 credits and a level 1 pulse laser. Basically garbage loot. I'm going to detonate the can so that we can actually see the salvage over here, and we will do our best to pull in as much of this salvage as we possibly can. I think the scrap parts are worth more. So if we can, we want to bring in scrap parts over junk parts. So I'm going to eject stuff real fast just to make sure I maximize the value on the things that I'm grabbing. And it looks like most of these are junk parts anyways, so it doesn't really matter. We'll just go ahead and pull them on into the hold. We'll turn off tactical view because I don't really need it anymore. And it looks like we made about, probably about 10K off of that right there, and probably about 5K off of that right there. That's basically why I salvage. It pays for my ammo, and my ammo is absurdly expensive because it has a triple damage modifier on it, which is why I'm one-shotting everybody right now. As we get further on into the game, there will be nastier threats that will be able to tank that damage. These guys right here that I just killed are kind of like the basic bandits. If they had had a chance to return fire, they probably would have halved our health, but I kill things so fast that like they don't really have a chance to return fire. If I was still doing this on my old laser build, you would see that combat flows a lot slower and is a lot more tactical, and you have to like dodge and move around a lot more. It wants me to turn in the quest at Value Star in Who Knew. So let's go ahead and do it. That's where all the money's at. Who knew? Pulling on into Who Knew to turn in our quest and get paid 300 grand actually. Not a bad day's work. I mean, for murdering other human beings for money, which, like, honestly feels like one of those jobs that may be a little morally dubious, like, if you have to, you know what I mean? If you have to, make sure you get paid really, really well for the guilt. That's my opinion. Let's fly on over to Value Star. We can take a look at my beautiful little ship right here. Yeah. Flying through space, having adventures. I got big guns and I don't wear dentures. I couldn't think of anything that rhymes with adventure. And so I had to, like, casually direct the song over talking about, like, wooden teeth. I don't know, we had to get George Washington with the rhymes. Sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. So there it is. We killed 2 dangerous raiders in Gate of Alfaris. As payment for completing the mission, we got 300k and then 6 skill points. So that actually segues very, very nicely into the skill system for this game. When you are in port and you are inside of one of these harbors, there are a number of buttons over here that you can play around with. I'm trying to make sure that if anybody decides to go in on this game, they kind of understand the interface at the bare minimum, because that's what when I was spending my kind of 15 to 20 hours playing the game, this game doesn't have a lot of resources out there. It doesn't have a lot of players. This is kind of like, in my opinion, this is the space sim that everybody should be paying attention to, but like a lot of people just don't seem to know about. And so anyways, there's the lounge. Inside the lounge, you can hire wingmen and mercenaries to become friends with, and they will join your party, and they come with their own skill sheets and everything else. There's entertainment for raising morale for all of your troops. There's news events, and these aren't just fluff. These are actual things that are being simulated and happening in the game. And so, like, the trade region right now has a slowdown in production. And Cirrus Crest, apparently they elected some kind of new leader. Security in the Valley of Truths has been reviewed. Bellicite ore has been found in Grace. And you kind of want to check these depending on what your job is. If you're a trader, this is very, very important. If you're a miner, this is very, very important. This is basically where you collect rumors from. We also have the market right here. The market is exactly what it sounds like. It is a store where you can buy and sell anything you might need, from weapons to trade goods to parts and things of that nature, actives and passives. There will be kind of like supply items over here. This is stuff that they produce here that is going to be like marked off big time that you can move to other areas to make money. And so this is obviously like a really, really good opportunity to make some cash. There's also things at every station that are in demand, and as you can see, they want the scrap that we just got off those ships, so I'm going to go ahead and unload it here. We made about 20k off of that right there, and then we made about 13k right there. So not too bad. Let me go ahead and replenish my ammo real quick. I'll actually probably just sell all this stuff too. I don't really care about it, and so we'll just kind of like vendor it. And the game does keep track and give you a ledger of everything you've ever bought or sold, so that you can never lose track of that information. Speaking of equipment, that's going to take us over to the garage. Inside the garage, you can customize your ship. Ships are divided up into active hardpoints and passive hardpoints. Active hardpoints are for things like guns and miners and ECM jammers and missiles and things like that that you actively fire at the enemy. There's also passive modules. Passive modules are going to be things like afterburners, shield boosters, shield hardeners, things that make you fly faster and hit harder and convert your damage types and things of that nature. You can repair your modules here in your armor if you took any damage. Here's the life support readout. I haven't really gone anywhere too dangerous, so my life support is kind of wispy right now because I'm always in the civilized sectors. There's also custom options over here where you can change the coloration and the color of your contrails and everything else on your craft, and you can rename it. I've renamed mine the NCS Hackjaw because it's technically a salvage ship, but it's a salvage ship that can bite. And we also got skill points when we turned in that last mission, which are used inside the university. So every station that has a university is going to have different skills on offer that you can check out. And so, for example, here they have mercenary negotiations, where if we wanted to train this, it would cost us 6 skill points. We have 84 right now, and it would cost us a little bit of money. Skill training in this game works the exact same way that it does in EVE Online. It takes time for you to get those skills, and once the training is done, when you dock, you'll automatically learn it, basically, as long as you docked at a place that had a university. However, the timelines have been really, really streamlined. If you're worried about sort of EVE Online timelines where it can take you upwards of like a month to train like the max level of certain skills, it's not like this in this game. I think the longest I've seen for training time is like 20 minutes, and that's for like end game, like maxed out skills. And so anyways, they still train whether or not you're in the station. You can fly around. The only thing that I'd like to see with the skill list is the ability to queue up your training. There's no queuing for training right now, which means for like the shorter trainings, like 5 minutes, you basically, a 5-minute train, you don't have time to really do anything. So you basically just sit around in station waiting for it to get done. I'd like to be able to queue up the training so that I can fly around and do stuff. I can queue up like, 12 5-minute trains and go do stuff for an hour and then come back and then get all the skills simultaneously. But anyways, there's also the Shipyard. This is where you can buy new ships. They do have an assault frigate over here, and I am in the market for a frigate right now. I do want to upgrade from escort to frigate. Unfortunately, this guy is specialized in ECM jamming and missiles, and so he doesn't really help me much because I'm only good at lasers and I'm only good at machine guns. And so if it's not lasers and machine guns, I kind of suck at it. We also have the refinery. That scrap that we just sold, you can load that into this refinery right here and activate, and it will break it down into constituent parts like panels, nuts and bolts, wires, armor plating, things of that nature, which can then be used inside the fabricator, assuming that you have the blueprint to build new things. You can manufacture your own ships, you can manufacture your own weapons, you can manufacture pretty much anything you see sold on the market, you can manufacture yourself, in case you just wanted to stop being a middleman and moving stuff around for other people and start moving stuff for yourself. Every station also has storage. I've been using the place where you start, Biomate, in Biomate University, for all of my storage, so you're not going to find anything in here, but anyways, that's what I've got going on. There's also missions offered inside these places, but it looks like this place doesn't have a mission broker. If you wanted to have a mission broker, you can do that. So if you find kind of like a provincial system that has a station that doesn't have a lot of these buttons over here, normally what you can do is inside the lounge, if you have mercenaries and you have money, you can assign the guys that work for you to become like the new mission broker or the new market broker or the new refinery owner or whatever, and then you can just use that, and people have to pay you in order to use it when they come to that station. But it doesn't appear to be an option on this station. Every station has a whole bunch of stats and things too. I assume that they all mean something, but it hasn't been relevant yet. We need to go find this guy over here. And it looks like Colonel Sadwi, something Streho. Apparently he owes a bunch of money to the Alpha faction. And so we need to go find him. And it looks like he is... Where is he at? He's in Temple Glass. So let's go ahead and see where Temple Glass is at. I don't know if I've been there, actually. It may be connected to one of these other systems. So let's see where Temple Glass is. Oh, I'm sorry, Temple Gates. I misread that. For whatever reason, to my eye, it looked like it said Temple Glass. And I was like, that's a system I haven't been to. I know about Temple Gates. But apparently, my eyeballs are playing tricks on me right now. Listen, it's been a rough week. It's 4th of July weekend, and I live in a place where people really like to indulge in, like, sticks of dynamite and whatnot. So I've been getting, like, maybe 3 hours of sleep a night because people are lighting off like M1000s and like M5000s, quarter and half stick of dynamite like every 20 minutes all night. It's been a little bit rough. We're going to ride it out. We're going to be okay, but this is a tough time of year if you like the old sleepies. Let's see if we can go find this guy. This quest is kind of procedural. Sometimes it goes really, really easy. Sometimes it goes really, really hard. Sometimes this guy coughs up the money the second you talk to him. Sometimes he calls a bunch of bandits to attack you. Sometimes you're interrupted by unrelated bandits that you have to deal with before he'll pay you because he fears for his life. There's a bunch of different outcomes to this quest, and actually that's one of the reasons why I think this quest is more interesting than a lot of the other quests. I definitely hope that they flesh out a lot of the missions to have like 3 or 4 random outcomes, basically, or like divergences in the process of completing the mission, because I do think that that's a very, very fun mechanic. All right, so in Temple Gates, where's this guy at? There he is. He's the one marked in yellow. Let's go ahead and talk to this guy and see if he'll pay up the money or if there's going to be drama. We'll fly on over here and we'll go say what's up to him, and we'll see if he's a friendly debtor, or if he's one of those guys that's going to try to put hands on us. Okay, I'm here to collect a debt you owe. Yeah, sure, man. Just a second. Let me finish what I'm doing here, and I should be all set. Okay. I don't know if you noticed just yet, but it looks like we have visitors. Maybe we can continue this after the raiders are taken care of? Okay, don't go anywhere. Where are the raiders at? Oh, there they are. Okay, let's go fight these guys. I'm gonna go ahead and ping those guys up on the TAC map. And actually, they spawned in pretty close to us. This guy right here is a frigate. I don't know if we'll flatten him in one volley. I hope that we do, because it makes me feel badass and it indulges all my space bounty hunter power fantasies. But there's no guarantee. Let's see if we can flatten this guy. Guns? You want guns? There we go. Thank you, guns. Oh yeah, he got obliterated. He had a terrible day. He had the worst afternoon in the black ever. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can swoop on this dude. We will have all of our guns focus on him, and down he goes. So that was easy. These combats are not crazy interesting because I'm very much showing you the early game content right now, and my character is kind of past the early game content. The early game content doesn't really matter to my man. He kind of bulldozes through it. I also got really, really lucky with some rare weapons. And so, like, not everybody is going to be equipped as well at this point in the game as I am. Basically, I found a store that had, like, really, really rare guns and really, really rare ammo in, like, huge amounts for, like, ridiculously low prices. And so I was able to kind of build this ship to do things it's not supposed to do. Which is kind of the fun of the game, though. It's fun to be overpowered sometimes, right? Now that we've completed that mission, I do need to go talk to the person that owes money. But let me just get all my salvage and all my loot first. Where'd my other loot crate go? There it is. Is that guy on my loot right now? Dude, you better not be stealing my loot. Sometimes the AI does weird things in this game. Like, it'll be sort of dubious who landed the last shot, and the last shot gets the loot. So sometimes they'll fly up and, like, loot these things, and it's made me nervous. And if I shoot them, I get in trouble with Johnny Law. Johnny Law don't like it when you blow up civilians who stole your loot. There we go. Let me get some of these scrap and junk parts over here. Let me get some of that good stuff. Yeah, load it on into the hold. There we go. Yep, we're all nice and full up. So where's our quest target now? Right there. Let's go talk to her. She should be finished off. You can activate this tactical map by pressing the spacebar. It's not, like, crazy useful, but this game does have a really, really customizable UI and whatnot. So if you don't like that tactical map effect right there, you can actually disable it so that it basically just puts overlays on everything but keeps this graphical tile set. And then on top of that, you can resize all the windows. I would like to, like, move things around a little bit more modularly. I'm not sure if it'll let you actually do that, but a lot of these windows seem like they could be dragged around. I know why you're here. I guess there's no sense in dragging this out. Take your payment and be gone. Cool. We got the money, so we need to go drop that off in Void Starcross. Let's go get our paper, and then we'll see if we can also sell off a lot of the scrap that we just pulled out of that situation. Getting paid for killing some guys. I don't know why, but they had to die. All right, so we got 4 skill points, $100,000, and I'm calling it Zenny. That's what I've been calling it because it's got the Z, dude. It's got the thing from, like, Mega Man Legends. I'm calling it Zenny, and we got some XP as well. Your character does level up. Our character is actually pretty close to a level up. When you level up, nothing really changes. It just gives you a buttload of skill points based on what level you achieved. And so anyways, when you level up, you'll get a big influx of skill points. This is my character sheet right now. I'm pretty good with guns. I'm, like, okay with drones, but I haven't found a ship that has guns and drones yet. I do need to work on my frigate operation if I'm planning on moving up to frigates. Utility ships, I'm kind of, like, middle of the line on. Utility ships are kind of like specialized escort craft, basically. I've got gyroscopic control for my turn speed. I've got ship shield regeneration. I took some extra mission contract slots. I think that, like, I'm best at lasers right now, but, you know. Do you guys have anything in the shipyard that I can afford? What do you guys have going on right here? Looks like there is an assault. Okay, so there's an assault utility escort. There's another one over here, too, but that one has 6 passive slots. That's pretty wild. This guy right here has 1 more passive slot. And these are from the pirate faction, a lot of these. And so anyways, you'll notice that they have, like, holographic black flags and stuff flying behind them. It's because they're from the pirate faction. As of right now, all the ships have kind of like an Amarian look to them if you ever played EVE Online. But there is actually modding support for this game as well. So if there's something you don't particularly like in the game, you can mod it. I don't know how active the mod can be. Oh, look at that, gummy bears. The ever sought after space luxury. Everybody loves gummy bears. Who doesn't want some gummy bears? I do need to figure out where I can sell this scrap. I know one of the stations here sells this scrap, or I'm sorry, buys our scrap. And so I need to, let's see here, who is it that buys the scrap? So inside your journal, you can basically keep a list of every station and what they want versus what they're selling. It looks like Starbase Corporate is who wants our junk and scrap in this system. So we will go to Starbase Corporate, just double click on their little icon right there, kick on the afterburner, fly on through. But this game is actually really, really well designed. Even in the last year since the last time I played it, I see a lot of improvements here with regards to performance, the balancing of the game. I see a lot of differences with regards to activities. So like there's mission types for every archetype in the game. If you are a salvager, there are salvage missions. If you're a trader, there are trade missions. And then there are also procedurally generated kind of like supply deliveries and fulfillment deals. If you are a miner, like there's various events and mining missions and things you can do to kind of get outside your comfort zone and go do other things. Like the game just has a ton of stuff going on. Just an absolute ton of things. I think the one place where the game is lacking as of right now is that the narrative is not in the game, and so a lot of the lore and world building has not been implemented yet, so in a lot of ways I think that the Sandbox can feel kind of soulless. It doesn't feel lifeless, and there is a distinction there. There's definitely stuff happening in the galaxy. It's just that, like, you don't know why it's happening because all of the factions haven't really had all their lore tidbits and all their dialogue and everything else put into the game yet, but the game does seem to be playing itself in certain regards as you go through. It's just that you don't really have the storyline context for it, and so it can feel a little soulless sometimes. The good news there is that the developer did post on Steam, and the developer and his helpers basically said, like, hey, storyline stuff is coming up soon. We don't know exactly when it's going into the game, but it is like the next priority that we are working on as we work on the game, is getting like the first rollout of storyline stuff into the title. And so you shouldn't have to wait too long on that, I don't think. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn by saying that. I did see a post in the Steam forums where that was kind of like referenced. Oh, they've got like a mining frigate over here. Okay. I don't really do mining, but I've heard it's very, very profitable. I was going to do combat until I get bored with combat and salvaging, and then I was going to move over to like industry and like mining and see how that goes. Basically, I've been dabbling with various systems a little bit, but I haven't gone too deep into anything. And that's actually kind of impressive considering I've been playing for about 15, 20 hours on this save. And so there's stuff to bite down on here so long as you don't mind that there's not really a narrative context for any of the things that you're doing. Like, if you're okay with just sort of like, what it reminds me of is like an X3 before they put in the Terran whatever expansion. Like, X3 was a pure sandbox with like no storyline and like no anything else going on until like the Terran Federation expansion or whatever it was that added like a whole bunch of storylines to the game. It's kind of like that. You fly around, do sandbox activities, take over the galaxy, kind of start your own industries and corporations and stuff like that, and the storyline is coming. But I will say the developer seems to be a hustler. Like, as a guy that covers indie games, the thing that I notice is that there's kind of like different types of development. There's people that are just trying to get it out of the door. There's people that want to make a quality product but have like a budget that's kind of confining it. And then there's people that are like obsessed, basically, like Dwarf Fortress or like Caves of Cuds developer. And this game kind of reminds me of that, where no matter what, it seems like he is always like pushing out updates to this game on time and like on schedule, and those updates are meaningful and they add stuff to the game and they lay the waypoints for new content and stuff like that. And so it's just been an absolute pleasure watching this game populate since the first time I covered it like 3 years ago, with content, and slowly go from like this inchoate mass of sort of misty ideas floating around, and now the whole thing is etherizing. Like, it's starting to solidify. There are starting to be like solid facets of the game that are apparent. And not only are they there, they're starting to interlock with one another, and they're starting to influence one another. And so like, I am really, really excited about this game, and I'm pleased to say that like, for a one-man operation, for a game that is made by one guy, it is impressive, both the update schedule that he is keeping and the amount of content that he's managed to squeeze into the game in just the last, I guess, 14 months since I covered the game last. And so, Astrox Imperium, if you like EVE Online, but you wish that it was offline, and you didn't have to deal with what is possibly one of the most toxic communities in gaming, I would know, I'm an EVE Online player, you know, this might be a really, really good choice, because it seems to be very focused on that, and basically coming out the other end with that refined idea. If you're not going to get it, definitely keep it on your wish list if this is the kind of like, you know, sandbox space odyssey that you're into. People that tend to be into space sims tend to keep an eye on all of them, and they don't come out very often. So this is one that I would keep on the watch list. It's not the prettiest game. It's not the game that has the most quality of life inside of it, but it is functional. it is coming together in an impressive way, and I'm excited to check in on it in another year. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we had Astrox Imperium. Tomorrow, we will very likely have something else. Thank you for the luxury of your time and for letting me speak at you for a little bit, and I will catch you all tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet. Bye, everybody.